My name is Vidalia, and I'm going to teach you how to be a park level prime minister. Prime minister is my favorite office to hold. I feel like it has some of the most objective metrics on how to do a good job, which I think is really rewarding for me. And let's go over that. So first, all of the tools that you need to do your job are available in the Google Drive. You can follow the link here. It will be linked on the YouTube. And I can also send that to the Discord. That way you can see that. It's available in the resources in Discord. It has things like a sample park ledger. That way you can get your park ledger set up. It has waivers and sign-in sheets. It also has the Hitchhiker's Guide to Prime Minister, which is a guide for local prime ministers that has step-by-step tutorials on how to do org changes, how to set up the all thing, all of that jazz. There's also tournament sheets, all sorts of goodies in this drive that help you do PM, that help you in office in general, that sort of thing. So if you haven't checked out the Winter's Edge public folder, it's available for everyone to use. Everyone in this chat raise their right hand. I solemnly swear to always publicly count the cash box and record the funds every time I hand it over to someone or someone gives it to me. We're going to repeat that just to make sure that it sinks in. I'm holding my right hand up also. I solemnly swear to always publicly count the cash box and record the funds every time I hand it over to someone or someone gives it to me. This is just best practice for how to handle the cash box. If someone gives you a cash box and you didn't count it down in front of them or in front of a park officer when you receive the cash box and you get home and you count it and there's money missing, you can't prove that you didn't take that money, right? Same thing goes for the person handing it over. If money ends up being missing, you don't have proof that, you know, it didn't go missing under your care, right? So this not only helps cover your butt, but in the instance that money did get misplaced or wasn't in the cash box, it ends up being, in an envelope or tucked into the sign-in sheet or something like that. It gives you a better time frame on when that money was misplaced. So it's a really good practice to count down the cash box each time you hand it over in front of someone and write it down. So, on to park finances. Keeping a ledger of the funds is important for tracking where your money is going. It's also required for the IRS because we're a 501c3 nonprofit. Typically, your park won't be audited by the IRS, but just in case, having a ledger is really useful. Again, there's a sample ledger. You can just save a copy of that sample ledger and fill it out as you go. What money's coming in, like from donations, from dues, from sales, any sort of money that you're bringing in, and then any money that goes out, like if you're spending those park funds on craft nights or supplies or event sites, all of that needs to be documented. And if you have a bank account, it's not too hard to track your money going in and out because it's all in your bank statements as well. And then setting up a bank account isn't super hard, depending on your bank. Sometimes it requires tenacity. You can ask Herolder about that. But you'll need a copy of the NDA charter, the Corpora, and the officer election results showing that you're the correct financial officer for your local chapter. And then they should be able to give you a bank account. Also, cash boxes. If you have enough money to purchase a cash box, they're around $50, give or take, last time I checked, then you should buy a cash box. Just to keep all of your money locked and safe. At the very least, don't leave it, laying around in the open. Bank account is best. After the bank account is the cash box. Ideally, you have both. And then if you do not document it, if someone, you know, hands you $6 and you pocket it and then never put it in the ledger, never update their dues, you've just stolen $6 from your homie, and we shouldn't do that. So document everything, make sure that you're taking steps to protect yourself, your park, your friends, and to be financially responsible. Here's an example ledger. This is an actual snippet from Radiant Valley's 2023 ledger. So you can see our money that came in, our money that went out, where we did fundraising and disbursements for local parks. We bought battle game supplies and things like that. And you can see our expenses and our income. And then we send this over to the kingdom every reign during the kingdom audit. That way they can track that to file taxes at the end of the year. The next responsibility of the prime minister is elections and all things, voting in general. So during your term, you will probably have to run officer elections and all thing. And if you're not running for the re-election, you will also need to manage the prime minister and guildmaster of reeves elections. Scheduling an election seems difficult at first, but it's actually step by step easy. You just work backwards. So whatever calendar is set for your park, you'll just pick your coronation that you need to work from, and then remember that it takes at least 1 week for officer mentorship. You'll need at least 1 day to announce the incoming officers. You'll need 5 days to tally votes. There's a 2-week voting period and a 2-week declaration period. And, what I like to do is just pull up a calendar, click on mid-reign, and then literally just click the next day and enter it in. And when you enter it into like a Google Calendar or your phone calendar, there's a handy visual guide for setting it up. And you also don't have to follow this timeline exactly. This is the minimum timeline. So if you feel like you need a longer timeline, for instance, some parks meet bi-weekly, different parks have different needs. You can always extend that. You just can't shorten it. Yeah, so basically that's how you run elections. We'll get into voting exactly in a moment, but that's how the timeline works. And then here's an example timeline. This is actually just the timeline for our officer elections for Guildmaster of Reeves and KPM coming up. So declarations will open June 28th. You can see all of that in Ink's calendar that she posted. So there's a real life example of setting up an election timeline. Then for all things, you may run these. Typically, you're supposed to run at least one. You may also have emergency all things. If it doesn't seem like, people have any proposals, you may not have to do voting on this, but local all things may not override the corpora. Kingdom decisions, the rules of play are mundane law, obviously. Most all thing decisions require simple majority at the local level, except removing an officer, are voting to leave the kingdom. Those do require supermajority. If you haven't heard the terms simple majority and supermajority before, simple majority is above 50%. Supermajority varies, but above 66% is typically two-thirds majority. And then all things must be open to the public to see. You can't have a secret group chat to have an all thing. You can't have the all thing just held at a park day without announcing it, because there's a specific timeline for all things. And this just allows everyone equal opportunity to participate and to engage with the policies that are happening at their home park. So yeah, that way people have equal say in what's going on. The all thing timeline doesn't have to correlate to a specific event, so you're a little more free for local all things. Submissions take 1 week, discussion takes 1 week, voting takes 1 week, and tallying votes takes 1 week, and then you have to announce the results. You can extend this timeline, and it often makes sense when you have a larger park. When you have a larger park to extend the timeline, that way there's more time for tallying votes. Obviously, if you have like a shire, it takes much less time to tally 5 votes than, say, a Grand Duchy, which may have 70 members or something like that. And then for the ballot, this goes for elections and for the all thing. I do recommend that you use Google Forms. It will track for you who has submitted. It will keep track of their votes, and it will automatically break down everything into neat little pie charts. That way you can see the exact voter breakdown and things like that. And then you will list each proposal if you're doing an all thing vote. If you're doing officer elections, you'll list each office, and then the options for the proposal would be in favor, abstain, or against. The options for the election would be the name of the officer, 1, the name of the, or I guess the name of the candidate, 1, the name of the candidate, 2, and then no confidence. And no confidence is always required to be an option. That way, if someone is running unopposed, but maybe they're not an ideal candidate for the office, people do have the opportunity to express that. And then in Google Forms, if you click through the submissions and you see someone vote that isn't dues paid or that hasn't met the sign-in requirements or isn't from your park, sometimes that happens, then you can just remove that submission and tidy up your inputs that way. Once the voting window is closed, you announce the results, and then get yourself a treat. You deserve it. This is the hard part, I guess. And now we're on to the orc, which is the meat and potatoes of what you'll be doing. The orc is notoriously finicky, so sometimes, light some sage, say some prayers, and then get in there. So there are actually pre-existing orc guides available on YouTube. I will also link those, but if you just go to the Google or the YouTube search bar and type in Amguard Orc 3 tutorials, you'll go to the Orc 3 tutorials YouTube page, and there's all sorts of guides there. They came out maybe 4 years ago, so some of them are a little dated. The orc is constantly being updated, but basically everything you'll need to do, there have a tutorial for. And then the main things that you'll be doing as Prime Minister is entering attendance, updating park officers, helping players reset their passwords or update their information, and entering awards or custom titles given during your reign. And that sounds like it can be a lot, especially if your park, like Radiant Valley, we meet 3 times a week, so that's a lot of attendance to enter. But if you stay on top of everything and document everything well, it's not too hard. And we're going to do some orc tutorials. So first you'll need to log in. I have my information saved, so you'll just type in your username and password. And then clicking on home pulls up all of the different kingdoms. You want to go to Winter's Edge, because that's where we are. And then you'll navigate to your home park. And there are some cool reports here that can tell you, about active players in your park. So you can see everyone that's listed as active. And then you can see all of our dues paid players. And you can see whether they're dues paid for life. So there's that. You can also see everyone that is listed as signing a waiver. You can see suspended players. So if there's anyone that's banned at their park. How do you set a player to active in the orc? So you won't set a player to active. It will automatically pull active players if they have signed in the requisite amount. So if you look at, I don't know if there's a, why is it pulling tabs? So if you look at, say, Radiant Valley attendance for the past 6 months, and Destroya, right? She has signed in 4 times, right? So she's recently participated. But if you look at our active player list, Destroya will not be there because she hasn't signed in the requisite 6 times in the last 6 months. And then if you go to the player roster, this is a list of all of the players. So you will see Destroya is right there. However, there's the inactive roster. So what you can do if a player has not attended, typically in the last 14 months, then you will go to their org page, click admin panel. This allows you to edit player details and stuff like that. So there's a little checkbox that you can change active and retired. Where is it?
It's right there in front of you.
Thanks, Toast.
Move your mouse down a little bit. Go left. Go left. Up.
Here it is. I knew that. So visible or retired. So sorry, I don't retire players often. But yeah, when they're visible, they will show in your list. If they're retired, then they will not show. And that's how you can update players. If you want to know who to retire, you can go to JSORC. I will also post this link for you guys because it's incredibly useful. You can go to should be retired and just pick your kingdom and park, and then it will tell you of all the players who should be retired, and then you can just go through and click them off of that list. If that answers questions about active players. And then for entering attendance, you'll just click up here at the enter attendance option, put in the date, put in the player. Looks like fighter practice got entered on the wrong day. That's fine. We'll say that Toast was there. Toast isn't from Radiant Valley. That's weird. And he signed in as color. And we'll just add him. And there's Toast listed in our attendance. If we want to remove Toast or his attendance, say we entered it in wrong, we just click the little X button. Let's say that as Park Prime Minister, you realize that you've made an account for Toast for Radiant Valley when he's not from Radiant Valley. He actually already had an account set up in Emerald Hills. What we can do is we can merge players from player Toast to player Toast. It's only letting me merge players at my park. So this will allow you to merge players at your park, but if you need to merge them at kingdom level, you just go to the kingdom, click admin panel, and then merge players. And then you can select from Radiant Valley, Toast, from Winds, Toast, and then merge that player. Maybe you have to be Kingdom Prime Minister to do that. I always forget what the permissions are. I've been in Kingdom Office too long. But that would be how you would do it to do it at a Kingdom level. If there's a player that you need to merge at a different park, what you can do is briefly move them into your park, merge the accounts, and then move them back. So, as example, we go to the admin panel. We go move player from park, Emerald Winds, player Toast. And then if we look at Toast, in Radiant Valley, he will now be there. So you can use the find player function to search for specific players. And this will pull everyone named Toast from Radiant Valley. And we can now see that there are 2 Toasts at Radiant Valley. So now we can successfully merge them. Again, everything starts by going to the admin panel. We merge those players. And remember, you always want to pick the newer account to be destroyed. It doesn't super matter except for the fact that the pre-existing links for the older Toast account would break. So it's just best practice that you select the newer one to destroy. And then we merge those players. View your abomination here. So this is Toast. And now he should have all of his Radiant Valley credits. There they are. From where he was listed at Radiant Valley. Now Toast is in the wrong place, so we have to move him back. Again, navigate to your park, go to admin panel, move player. So I believe navigating here will move the player to your park. If you need to move someone from your park, you'll have to do it at the kingdom page. So again, admin panel, move player, park. He is currently at Radiant Valley. We need to move him to Emerald Winds. We need to move Toast, and we need to move him to Emerald Winds. And then move player. And now Toast should be back home where he belongs. And moving the players, it doesn't actually remove them from their officer role. So if you notice, Toast is Prime Minister. And he was listed as Prime Minister. It doesn't change even if you move him like out of his park. So just be mindful of that. And then we've done entering attendance. Let's do enter awards. So to enter an award, you click the award type. Order of the Griffin. Rank 1. Whatever date it was given, we'll use today's date as an example. Given to Bubbles. So look, there's a gajillion bubbles here. We've had a lot of bubbles over the years. But to find the correct bubbles, you can type in their username, which we have as Bubbles D. D stands for Bubbles' real last name. You can also type in the full name. So if you go to Bubbles the Burninator, that will also pull up. Given by me. Given at Radiant Valley, because that's the park that it was bestowed at. Given for nepotism. All right. And we'll add that. And then we go to Bubbles Orc. And if you look at his Orders of the Griffin, you'll see there's one that I bestowed for nepotism. Let's say, oops, I wasn't supposed to enter this award. I need to remove it. There are two options for removing awards. There is the little X beside the award, and that just deletes the award because it was an error. But let's say that someone had an award removed via all thing or something like that, then you would strip it. But Bubbles wasn't actually given this award. We're not going to strip it. We're just going to delete it. And we confirm that.
Is there a
And then,
functional difference between those two?
yes, but not on the main interface. In the log, in the history, you can see stripped awards versus deleted awards. So say I wake up one morning and all of my awards are gone. I contact an orc administrator and they're like, someone deleted all of your awards. They can see who makes actions on accounts and things like that. They can see if the awards were deleted or if they were stripped, and then reference that back to an all thing decision or a monarchy decision, that sort of thing. So there's not a functional difference on the user interface, but in the admin interface there is. Yeah.
Also, there's two questions in the chat for you.
Oh, pull that up. You don't have to wait the full week. If you are able to tally your votes faster than the week, you can announce them beforehand. Same with officer elections. And then if you have a contested election, what I like to do is reach out to both the people or however many people are running, and let them know the results like an hour before they post them. That way, there's not the public having to react to losing, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you get really invested in putting yourself out there and being in office and such, and it can be tough to lose. So I think it's a good courtesy to give them a little heads up before you make the public announcement, but you're not required to. Um, let's see. And then updating officers. So what you'll do is you'll navigate to your park, again to the admin panel, and set park officers. So I'm currently Monarch, Penelope's Regent, that sort of thing. Beefy is our champion. Let's say that Beefy misses 8 park days, and now he's no longer champion. I appoint a new champion, and that is Fib. Um, so I just type in Fib's name there, and then update. And now Fib is currently listed as the champion. But that's not right. Let's change it back. There's other things that you may need to update about your park. If you go to the admin panel, you can configure park. And this allows you to update your park URL, address, description, the time that you guys meet, which we have a typo in ours, so we just will fix that. All of that jazz. And then as far as updating players go, you'll just click the player that you want to update. And then admin panel. There's me as a baby. So you can set their email address. That allows them to do password resets themselves. You can set if they're wavered or not wavered. You can set if they're visible or retired. If they're Reeve certified or Corpora certified. And then how long they've been a park member. If you've moved someone around in the park, you may need to update this. And then dues paid. So if they give you, say, $12 instead of $6, you can set their dues for a year instead of 6 months. You know, 1 term, 2 terms. And then the date that they paid you. You can also select dues paid for life and then add it. If someone is already listed as dues paid for life, you don't have to remove their dues paid for life. You can add another one. Say that someone from another kingdom comes in and they're listed as dues paid for life. Dues don't transfer from kingdoms. They have to be made to your home park officer. Dues also don't transfer across parks. So if you move parks, you will have to pay dues again. So yeah, you can update whether or not their dues paid for life and just add another one. There's that. Custom awards. Let's go over how to enter custom awards. So as a local monarch, you can give titles and things as long as they don't confer orders of precedence and things like that. So you can't give someone a lord title, but you can give, say, Patches a title of Grumpy Gus, right? So you go to enter awards. When you go to the award type, you will choose custom award. And then, you know, Grumpy Gus. rank 1. So the first order of the Grumpy Gus. And then you just enter your other awards as usual. The orc also has a little known tracking feature for officers. If you go to the Kingdom of Winter's Edge and pull up Knights and Masters, for instance, you will see what looks like kingdom points and ducal points. In the old system, there were what were called crown points, and you had to earn a certain number of crown points in order to be eligible for Knight of the Crown. So according to the old system, these people are the ones that would be eligible for Master Crown or Knight of the Crown. And the way that you ensure that the orc is pulling these correctly, because the orc doesn't track officers listed like this, you can do enter awards, and then officers, award type, Kingdom Monarch, rank, you don't have to put that, the date it was given, so 2025 or 21. Yeah, or something. Given to Inc. Given by me. Given for winning officer election. And this one we'll put Winter's Edge. And then when you add this, you can go to Inc.'s page, and it will show Kingdom Monarch winning officer election. You can see I've already done this for, or Geralder's already done this for Inc. But then to remove that, you would just go to admin panel and then click the little X next to it. And then the way that I was showing you custom titles before is not the optimal way to enter them. Actually going to the individual's orc and doing that is the best way to do that. You would go to add award. You can also do officers this way. But then when you list the custom award this way, it allows you to enter the award name. So and now that custom award will show at the top with the award name listed. We'll just leave that one there. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns about using the orc? Anything that we want to go over? Questions about the orc in general? So one thing about the orc is that it is constantly under maintenance. Sometimes it goes down from people pulling very long reports and things like that. So be mindful, double check your attendance occasionally, just to make sure that everything you've entered, stays correct and wasn't lost during an update or something like that. And then we do have a couple other things to go over. Again, keep waivers, sign-in sheets, guardianships, forms, etc. handy. You can find these in the public folder. As Prime Minister, You will also weigh in on bans and punitive actions. Don't feel pressured to agree with other people if you genuinely feel that it should be a ban or should not be a ban. Give your honest feedback and always consult the code of conduct to see what is unacceptable. And if you have questions about whether or not something constitutes a ban, you can always reach out to Kingdom Leadership for advice. They're there to help you. Even if it's not taking ban actions, even if it's just resolving interpersonal drama or picking the best park site or whatever, and you're struggling with something or just need tips, advice, reach out to Kingdom Leadership, reach out to your Crown Knights. We're there to help you. And then being present is a huge part of being in office. Engage with your players, your fellow officers, other prime ministers. You're a leader in your community, whether that's a shire or Grand Duchy. You're there supporting players, entering their attendance, lifting them up. So, engage. And then treat yourself for your hard work. It's okay not to enter attendance the day it was given. You can go home from park and take a nap. I promise the attendance will be there to enter tomorrow. You can, you know, lift up your accomplishments, be proud of all of the logistical things that you're doing, the nitty-gritty paperwork that no one else wants to do to make sure that your park runs, that people get credits. And that's basically everything I have to say about being a prime minister. Any other questions?
Yes, I had one. With the orc, if you have a new player who has never participated before, how do you enter their attendance?
Great question, Bubbles. That's a very good question. So you'll go to your home park. You'll go to the admin panel. You will then create player. So you will put in the player's given name. And then their persona name that they'd want to go by. If they want to give out their email, you would put that in. And then this is where the username comes in. If you're setting it up on your laptop or your phone that you've already signed in on a bunch, you may have this like autofill. It's best not to leave that there because when you search for a player by username and you search for like Vidalia, then a gajillion other players will come up listed as Vidalia the Onion 123 or whatever, because it will autofill numbers after the username if you try to enter a duplicate one. So always change the username. What I like to do is put it as their player name plus RV. That way it's super easy to search. And then you'll set the password to, whatever password you want it to be. And then click create player. So I'm not going to click create player just because there's not a good way to delete players. But that would be how you create new players. And then, if you accidentally create a duplicate player, you can just merge those two accounts, no problem. Do we have any other questions? Awesome. Well, again, if you think of any questions outside of class, or if you're watching this on YouTube and you have questions, feel free to DM me or reach out. And I'm more than happy to assist you in whatever way I can.